Good evening, good evening, good evening, dear people. I told you guys I would do a YouTube tonight, this afternoon, but I'm going to do what makes sense and I'm going to do it while I'm working so that I don't get tired later on because I think I'm going to be tired. I'm going to work until the midnight oil come to try to get ahead and get some things pre-done because burning the oil on both ends, you got to make sure you still stay punctual. You want to make sure you still keep stuff fresh, especially when people are still calling consistently. You still want to make sure you're able to help and be of service. And when you're running a business, you got to do things as comfortable and not so comfortable to make sure you do things that you need to do. Um, Before I start on my spiel and my encouragement, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I ain't do no notes. I had in my mindset that I was gonna do some notes so I can kind of have some directions of where this thing was gonna go. But God kind of dropped something in my spirit because I told you on my page it's business, but there's gonna be a whole lot of inspirational things to also push you into the business and to push your focus to another level. So I'm going to say this before I go on to what God has given me because I'm going to say what God has given me to say and I'm going to get off because one thing about God that when he gives you something to say, you say it and you leave it alone. So before I go on to that, I'll say this. My lash line, my wigs will be posted. If not tomorrow night, it'll be Monday. They have started to come in all together. I'm in the process of designing my packaging. So once I get everything critiqued and everything like I want it, there is no rush for me. I'm going to present my stuff, bring it out, show you guys. So I have my lashes, I have my wigs. And down the line, my daughter is going to be bringing out a gloss line later. When her focus is 100, you guys. Because me, honestly, I told her in order for her to do it, her focus had to be on point. Because I can't do a million things at once. I do a lot, but I don't want to pick up too much more than I can handle. But I'll say this. I got on really to encourage business owners and to tell you guys, let me tell you something. In this season, this pandemic, corona, racism, depression, suicide, people turning against each other, black lives against black lives, white lives against black lives, whatever, whatever the disasters, whatever the pandemic is. Here's what I've had to learn, and here's one thing that I've grown to know. I don't care what you go through in life, and I don't care what's going on around you. You got to keep your focus and you got to trust God. You got to trust God that he brought you in it. He's going to bring you out of it. Everything is not going to be what you thought it was going to be. Everything is not going to pan out like you wanted it to pan out. Sometimes you got to trust God even when you don't see him, even when you don't have directions on where this thing is going. You got to yet trust God. I was sitting here and I was thinking to myself, I'm going to tell you something crazy happened to me this morning. I go in the store and on Sunday mornings, I normally, I do my church online. I get what I need to get, make sure I have to leave the house no more. I go out the house one time and that's it for the day so I can work, do what I need to do to be ahead before the week start. And let me tell you guys, it's crazy. And I don't care. When God bless me, I don't care how big it is, how small it is. It's still a blessing to me. Because when favor reigns, God bless the, small. Sometimes he can't bless us big because some of us cannot be excited for the small things that God do in our life. So I was in the store this morning. I was running my mouth and I was talking to the customers. And it was me. And I'm going to tell y'all guys who it was. It was the owner. I think he was the owner manager of Georgia Bob's, the Georgia barbecue place in Hawkinsville or whatever. And we was in there, me, him, and one of the cashiers, Miss Tammy, and we was talking. And Miss Tammy, she always put me in a good spirit. She have a good spirit. We was in there, and we was talking, and we was in the store, and I was buying my stuff, and I ran to the store because I forgot. I try to get disinfected stuff every other day and keep things on stock in my house, and because I drive. But anyway, I was getting to the cash register, and we was all talking, and as I was getting ready to cash out, and the young man said to me, he said, well, Miss Tammy, I'm paying for her stuff too. I'm paying for her stuff and my stuff. And I look back and I'm like, no, I'm good. You don't have to do that. He said, no, I'm paying for your stuff. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, you bless me, so I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bring everybody in your restaurant, every last one of them, some masks, and I'm going to design them and I'll have them to you Monday. But I said that to say this. Some people in business and some people in life, if you ever wonder why God can't place you where he needs to place you, sometimes God will give people more than what they need. God can give people the abundance and they'll never open their hands. They'll never open their life to be a blessing to anybody else. They think that God blesses them for them to be a showboat, to show off, to brag, to talk about it, to always look down on people. Until you can learn to bless other people. Until you can learn, and that's not just financially. That's just not saying you have to do stuff. That's knowledge. That's helping, being informal. I don't know what it was, but when God began to bless me during the pandemic, I slick wanted to bless everybody that I knew was trying to do a business and throw some type of seed, some type of encouragement in, and tell them how to make it. Things that would help them make more money onto what they were already doing. Things that they needed to do to be consistent. I didn't know what it was. And then a lot of people were saying to me, even in my car sometimes when I'm talking to my riders and I'm talking to different people, they say to me all the time, why you just be telling people all this stuff and not getting paid for what you say? It's like you know a whole lot of knowledge. There's a lot of things you know that literally people have seminars for. So let me tell you something. I believe there's a time and a place for everything. And I believe that when God gives me the ability to be a blessing to some people you cannot help because they don't want to be helped. Some people believe I know what I'm doing. I don't need nobody. I got it all figured out. And you let them do that. You let them do what they're doing. You let them figure it out. You let them bump in the road. You let them make their mistakes because, we had to make ours. But if God has blessed you in any way that you can be a blessing to somebody, you guys, the way your platform gets bigger is you bless somebody. It's not always about money. It's not always about recording what you did. It's not always about even people knowing what you did. It's about the small things. And when he did that, it was crazy because I had just said when I got out my car, I was talking to somebody on yesterday, and they was like, oh my God. They was like, man, you just be helping me. You help me. You constantly is pouring into me. And I said, I remember the days that I wanted somebody to pour into me. I remember the days that I wanted somebody to just give me a nudge, just give me a push, just tell me something of how I can match A to B to C. But one thing about this new millennial, this new America, everybody worried about who gonna make it first. Everybody worried about, I don't want this person to make it before I make it. So I'm gonna keep the information I got, and I'm not gonna tell them what I know. Well, that's on you, because some days when I tell you, it almost shakes me to the core of how good God has been during this pandemic and how much God has blessed me during this pandemic. And I oftentimes say, in all of my life, raising my children and working as hard as I work, I've never felt like God has covered me so well. He gave me double for my trouble. Everything the devil took, God gave it back, and it's still pouring, and it's still pouring, and it's still pouring. And I couldn't figure out, like, I'm so undeserving, God, of your grace and your mercy. And I thought about it, and I'm like, it's the little times behind the scene. It's the little things you do that nobody cares about and nobody knows about. God sees all. God knows all. God knows when you're planting a seed. God knows when you stop and you're feeding that homeless person, or you're giving them that hot bowl of grits and that hot cocoa, and you ain't recorded it. Don't nobody know about it. God knows when you take that child to the side to find out what size that child wears so that you can be a blessing to that child. You ain't talked about it. You ain't recorded it, but God knows all. And it's funny because when I was going through my storm, and some of my guy friends and some of the people that I talked to, when I was going through my storm, I couldn't understand that some of the very well people that I've blessed and I've helped out through life were some of the main people who attacked me. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, it's some people that I know when they were homeless, they had no groceries, they had nothing. I would do for them, and it was nothing to me. And I'm not talking about $5 and $10 of groceries, several homes. And I had a house full of children of my own, but I still would go out of my way to make sure these people was okay. And I did that because I always knew in the back of my mind, no matter what people say, God sees all, he knows all, and he's going to judge all. So no matter what people say about you, no matter what people think about you, keep being you. Keep being diligent in your efforts. Keep being consistent and loving. Keep being consistent in your business. I told my rider the other day when he said, Tarnisha, you're doing so good in your business. What made you want to come back out here and help us, during this pandemic? Because it is a scary situation. And I said, something, I feel like this. I'm so closed off, and I kind of stay to myself, and I go to the grocery store and I get the necessities, and You know, I'm constantly washing, I'm constantly cleaning, but this is stuff I've always done. Constantly wash my hand, constantly wiping down knives and doing things, you know, doing laundry extra and making sure things are clean, not letting nobody in my space because I don't know where you been. So I know where I've been. So I told him, I said, it wasn't so much about me and not even the money because I'm making the money sitting at home at the sewing machine. But I knew you guys needed a ride. I knew you guys needed a way to get from point A to point B. When Lyft kept sending emails and text messages and incentives on top of incentives, I knew that there was a high demand. And in all honesty, I know there's a world pandemic. I know things are going crazy, you know, in every which way. Everything's going on. But I still feel like if I could help, I could help. I know I'm very careful. I know you guys know how to come in and be cautious of the driver, and we be cautious of y'all. You know, Lysol and, you know, in between customers, spraying my car with Lysol, wiping the seats down in between customers and the doorknob. I'm even offering customers wipes getting out of my car into their destination, not to touch the doorknob. And I'm giving them pointers on what not to do. Cover your face. I know you may not know like it. I know you may not think it's all needed. I know you may not, it ain't happened to me. Like me and one of my riders were talking the other day, and she said, well, you know, I really don't know how I feel about this pandemic thing. I mean, I know it's real, but I personally don't know anybody that it has affected. So I guess, you know, I'm careful, but I just don't let it stress me. And I said, well, baby, let me tell you something. I said, so I'm going to enlighten you a little bit. So when you get out this ride, you don't look at this pandemic the same way. I said, well, I've been in my house the whole time during the pandemic. I've been sewing during this whole pandemic, helping out who I may and who I can as much as I can. But I've also did a whole lot of masks for people burying people. So when you tell me that you're not sure if it's real, try telling that to the 7 and 8 families that I had do multiple masks for because they had to bury their loved ones because of COVID. So when you tell me it's not real, oh baby, it's real. Whether we like it or not, when death come hit at your door, you don't know what form it's going to come in, whether it be a virus, whether it be simply you go out and get stung by a bee. You know, some people have allergies that they may not even know about, and some freak accident can happen. Things happen every day that you're not aware of. So you always have to be cautious when you don't want to be cautious. And a lot of people say, well, the Bible said we're not supposed to live in fear, but the Bible also says you're supposed to have common sense. You don't live in fear, but I got sense enough to know that even though this may not hit me, and it may not come to my house, I do know that it exists. And I do want to be careful, and I do want to protect the people, and I do want to do what makes sense because I have children. Although I only have like my baby girls in my presence, I'm cautious of them. I'm cautious of who they interact with. I'm cautious of when they go out. You know, I tell my children all the times, even the ones that's not in my house, I'm studying even calling them now, telling them how to be careful. Make sure you keep your hands clean. Make sure, you know, you do this, you do X, Y, and Z. And I know, I'm going to tell you guys something. Life is life. Life's going to happen. That's one thing for certain. One thing for certain. You're going to live in that dash in the middle and you're going to die. But while we're here, I think it's so many of us do not use the knowledge that God gave us to really be a blessing and to really do things that make sense. We do things more so to prove a point, or more so things to be seen. This world has become so socialized that if I didn't record it, it's not golden. Or if I don't tell somebody, don't nobody know I did it. I think my mom, before she passed years ago, told me as a little girl, I remember my mom saying, everybody don't have to know everything. Leave some things to the imagination. And some things aren't supposed to be for everybody. Some things are supposed to be just for you and God. When you learn how to keep some things sacred, some things personal, then you leave room for God to bless you. You leave room for whatever's going to go bad, but yet you're able to bounce back, because guess what? The devil didn't know what to attack while you was going through, because you didn't even expose that you were going through. Nobody knew because you made it look good, or you didn't go out there and say, well, you know, my lights got cut off, or my water got cut off, or I didn't pay my rent, X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. You don't have to tell everything. Be able to go through without taking everybody else through with you, because all they're going to do is have a podium and a platform to talk and gossip about something that they're not going to help you in. Always use your life to be a blessing, to grow, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else. if you want your business to grow, even in your house, if you want your spirit in your life to be more than what it is, learn to be more so of a giver, more so of a person that's a loving person and a caring person than a person that's always looking for an attack, always looking to go at people, always looking to, ways to just be vindictive or messy. We get to an age, at a point in life, at some point, you have to get tired of being messy. You have to get tired of doing stuff that don't make sense. You have to get tired of giving, and you not getting nothing out of it. So if you did this blood thicker than water thing all your life and your family ain't did nothing but be a mess, honey, when are you going to wake up and smell the Folgers and believe that the word says your family can be your worst enemy, and learn to sow your seed with people that appreciate you? You don't have to keep dealing with certain situations in the midst of foolishness, and it stunts your growth. It stunts your productivity in life. When you know better, you do better. If you want more, you do more. And everything don't have to be known by everybody. Everything has its season. That's all I'm going to talk about tonight. That's all I'm going to record. I'm going to continue working because, y'all, I can talk all day, but I do got a whole lot of work to do today. I love you guys. I want it to be consistent. I want it to be punctual. I want it to be faithful on my walk of saying that I was going to record. Until next time, you guys be blessed, be productive. And when in everything you do, make sure you keep God at the front and the back and the middle, and everything else will line up as a dominoes effect. Until next time, be blessed.